So this is the second installment of The Sleeper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman from his book of short stories called Trigger Warning. And we left off that the dwarves were carrying a ruby under the mountains to go exchange for the finest silks of Dormar. They said it would not have occurred to the dwarves to give the young queen anything they had dug themselves from beneath the earth. That's why they're not giving her the ruby. That would have been too easy, too routine. It's the distance that makes a gift magical, so the dwarves believed. The queen woke early that morning. A week from today, she said aloud, a week from today, I shall be married. It seemed both unlikely and extremely final. She wondered how she would feel to be a married woman. It would be the end of her life, she decided, if life was a time of choices. In a week from now, she would have no choices. She would reign over her people. She would have children. Perhaps she would die in childbirth. Perhaps she would die as an old woman or in battle. But the path to her death, heartbeat by heartbeat, would be inevitable. She could hear the carpenters in the meadows beneath the castle, building the seats that would allow her people to watch her marry. Each hammer blow sounded like the dull pounding of a huge heart. The three dwarves scrambled out of a hole in the side of the riverbank and clambered up into the meadow. 1, 2, 3. They climbed to the top of a granite outcrop, stretched, kicked, jumped, and stretched themselves once more. Then they sprinted north toward the cluster of low buildings that made the village of Gif, and in particular to the village inn. The innkeeper was their friend. They had brought him a bottle of Cancellaire wine, deep red, sweet and rich, and nothing like the sharp, pale wines of those parts, as they always did. He would feed them and send them on their way and advise them. The innkeeper, chest as huge as his barrels, beard as bushy and as orange as a fox's brush, was in the tap room. It was early in the morning, and on the dwarfs' previous visits at that time of day, the room had been empty, but now there must have been 30 people in that place, and not a one of them looked happy. The dwarves, who had expected to sidle into an empty tap room, found all eyes upon them. Good Master Foxen, said the tallest dwarf to the innkeeper. Lads, said the innkeeper, who thought that the dwarves were boys, for all that they were 4, perhaps 5 times his age. I know you travel the mountain passes. We need to get out of here. What's happening? Said the smallest of the dwarves. Sleep, said the sot by the window. Plague, said a finely dressed woman. Doom, exclaimed a tinker, his saucepans rattling as he spoke. Doom is coming. We travel to the capital, said the tallest dwarf, who was no bigger than a child and had no beard. Is there plague in the capital? It's not plague, said the sot by the window, whose beard was long and gray and stained yellow with beer and wine. It is sleep, I tell you. How can sleep be a plague? Asked the smallest dwarf, who was also beardless. A witch, said the sot. A bad fairy, corrected the fat-faced man. She was an enchantress, as I heard it, interposed the pot girl. Whatever she was, said the sot, she was not invited to a birthing celebration. That's all tosh, said the tinker. She would have cursed the princess whether she'd been invited to the naming day party or not. She was one of those forest witches, driven to the margins 1,000 years ago, and a bad lot. She cursed the babe at birth, such that when the girl was 18, she would prick her finger and sleep forever. Is that more than 3 minutes, Adam?
Yep.
All right, see you in the next installment.